There's someone you know. Maybe it's a coworker, a cousin, neighbor down the street. You know for a fact they earn less than you, maybe significantly. And yet, somehow, they always seem to be doing fine. Their house is warm and full of food and laughter. Their kids look happy. They go on the occasional weekend trip. They don't seem stressed. They don't seem like they're drowning. And meanwhile, you're sitting there with a bigger paycheck, staring at your bank account, wondering where it all went. That feeling, that quiet, disorienting confusion, that's not jealousy. That's not ignorance either. That's a very real psychological phenomenon, and it runs a lot deeper than budgeting tips or financial literacy. This is about how money actually works in the human mind, and why the numbers in your account almost never tell the whole story of how rich or poor you feel. Let's start with a man named Robert. Robert works at a distribution warehouse in Ohio. He makes about $38,000 a year, supports a wife and 2 kids, and lives in a modest 3-bedroom house that he's been slowly fixing up for the last decade. By most national income standards, Robert is below the median. And yet, if you sit down to dinner with his family on a Sunday, you'd feel something that a lot of 6-figure earners never feel in their own home: enough. There's a word for this in psychology. It's called sufficiency. And it turns out, sufficiency has almost nothing to do with how much you have. It has everything to do with the gap between what you have and what you think you're supposed to have. That gap is the real currency of happiness. And the people who seem to have more despite earning less have usually, without ever studying economics or reading a self-help book, learned to keep that gap small. There's a concept in behavioral economics called the hedonic treadmill. The idea is brutally simple. As your income goes up, your expectations go up with it. You get the raise, you upgrade the car, the apartment, the wardrobe, and within about 6 months, you feel exactly as financially pressured as you did before, just at a higher altitude. The treadmill keeps moving. You keep running. You never actually arrive anywhere. Here's what makes it so insidious. It's largely invisible. You don't sit down one day and decide to want more. It just happens. The restaurant that used to feel like a treat becomes your regular Tuesday spot. The vacation you once dreamed about becomes the baseline expectation. The car you were so proud of starts to look average compared to what your colleagues are driving. Every upgrade quietly rewires your sense of normal, and the moment something becomes normal, it stops generating any happiness at all. Now think about the person with less money who somehow seems more content. In many cases, not all, but many, they're not on that treadmill, or they're running it at a much slower pace. Their baseline is lower, which means any small improvement feels like a genuine gain. A new couch, a family barbecue, a weekend camping trip that costs $200. These things register as meaningful, as genuinely good, in a way that a $2,000 dinner can simply not register for someone who's been spending at that level for years. The psychologist Sonia Lubomirsky calls this hedonic adaptation. And the cruel irony she found in her research is that adaptation is fastest and most complete for positive events. We get used to good things shockingly fast. We tend to ruminate on bad things for much longer. So the more upgrades you make, the more immune you become to the joy each upgrade once promised. But it's not just about adaptation. There's something else going on, something social. In 1998, 2 economists named Erzo Lutmer and Andrew Clark independently arrived at the same disturbing conclusion. Your income's effect on your happiness depends not on what you earn in absolute terms, but on how you compare to the people around you. People who earn $60,000 in a neighborhood where most people earn $40,000 tend to report higher life satisfaction than people who earn $80,000 in a neighborhood where most people earn $120,000. The numbers are bigger in the second scenario, but the feeling is worse. This is the comparison trap. And in the modern world, with social media projecting a constant highlight reel of everyone else's apparent wealth, the comparison trap has never been harder to escape. You're not just comparing yourself to your neighbors anymore. You're comparing yourself to the curated best moments of hundreds of people simultaneously. The vacations, the renovations, the restaurant photos, the career announcements. You're measuring your ordinary Tuesday against everyone else's greatest hits. Of course you feel like you're falling behind. Everyone does. That's the design. The person with less money may simply have a smaller comparison pool, or they've built a life, often without consciously choosing to, where the social world around them isn't constantly signaling that they should have more. Their neighbors aren't driving Teslas, their friends aren't reposting travel vlogs from the Amalfi Coast, and so the psychological pressure to keep up simply doesn't mount the same way. There's a deeper layer here too, and this one has nothing to do with money at all. It has to do with meaning. Research from the University of Rochester, led by psychologist Edward Deci, has repeatedly shown that people who orient their lives around intrinsic goals, things like strong relationships, community, personal growth, contribution, consistently report higher well-being than those chasing extrinsic goals, like income, status, and material possessions. And the thing is, the pursuit of extrinsic goals doesn't just fail to deliver happiness, it actively crowds out the time and attention required to pursue the things that do. Think about the executive who works 70-hour weeks to afford a lifestyle that impresses people she barely knows, while gradually losing the close friendships and family rituals that once made her feel whole. Then, think about the person earning a third of her salary who knocks off at 5, coaches his kid's soccer team, hosts a neighborhood cookout every few weeks, and has dinner with his parents every Sunday. Who is richer? Functionally, one of them has more purchasing power, but experientially, the research is fairly clear. This is what we sometimes call time wealth, and it's arguably the most unequally distributed resource in modern society in ways that never show up in income statistics. People who are less financially driven often, not always, but often end up wealthier in time, in presence, in the texture of daily life. And it shows. You can feel it when you're around them. None of this is an argument for being broke. Financial security matters enormously. Poverty is not romantic. The stress of not being able to cover rent or feed your kids is a documented, devastating health crisis. This isn't about idealizing struggle. There's a difference between financial security and the relentless, joyless accumulation that so many people confuse for it. There's a level, and researchers call it different things, but the number often cited is around $75,000 to $100,000 a year in the United States, adjusted for cost of living. Above that threshold, the things that move the needle on day-to-day emotional well-being aren't financial. They're relational. They're purposeful. They're about how you spend your time, not how you spend your money. And people who have built lives rich in those things, regardless of what their paycheck looks like, will always seem from the outside to have something that a bigger salary can't quite buy. So here's the real question. Not how do you earn more, but what are you actually running towards? Because if you never define that, the treadmill will always find the next speed. The comparison will always find the next benchmark. The lifestyle will always find the next upgrade. And you'll keep looking at people with less money, wondering how they seem so settled in themselves, while you're perpetually one raise away from finally feeling like enough. The uncomfortable truth is that the people who seem to have more, who feel like they have more, aren't better at earning. They're better at arriving. They've stopped negotiating their sense of sufficiency with an imaginary future version of their life, and they've decided to live the one in front of them, loudly, gratefully, fully, and in every way that actually matters. That's the wealthiest thing a person can do.